know if you've heard, but there was it kind of came out of nowhere. There's a brand new Superman trailer that came out. Where does this come from? What is this for? Hill, my buddy Hill's here with me. Have you heard about this one, Hill?
No, I didn't know it was coming
Yeah,
out,
kind of
but
came out of
I saw it.
nowhere. We're kidding, of course. It's been all the buzz since the day it came out. Actually, there was a teaser for the teaser, and there's all kinds of speculation about the teaser for the teaser. There's all kinds of speculation about the teaser trailer itself, and it has absolutely dominated the internet. It's dominated my social media feeds, and man, I, I gotta admit,
Like they dropped a lot.
the what?
They dropped a lot in that little trailer.
Oh yeah, and we had talked about it, you and I, on here before, one of the earlier
Hmm.
episodes that about the DCU, and I said I was a little skeptical about James Gunn doing a Superman movie, and this was a wait and see for me. But this trailer, oh man, let's just start with the music. I absolutely love the fact that they kind of and he has said that he took inspiration from Christopher Reeve Superman and Henry Cavill Superman, and it seems like the theme that he came up with while using the old score from the Christopher Reeves movies, which I absolutely love. I mean, that is Superman's theme. You know, when you think of Superman, you think of that theme. So, and there's kind of a Snyder influence in there. I'm very hesitant to even mention his name for, there's we can get into that too, how this has set off a huge debate and dumpster fire of a back and forth between Snyder fans and Snyder haters and the DCU fans and the DCU haters, and it's been kind of comical actually for me to watch that unfold. But the music, man, was just, I don't know, it just hit me. The trailer was great.
See that?
What do you think about it?
I was glad to see that they said they're going to be using a lot more scores like Christopher Reeve Superman, and the whole entire thing seems like more of an older Superman when Christopher Reeves played him. I
Right.
kind of feel like they're touching back to their roots,
Yep.
even
Absolutely.
like with the way he acts and stuff when he's Clark Kent walking in the movie. And
Dude, I was going to mention that, man. When I saw him as Clark Kent walking, I was like taken back to Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent.
hmm
It was
exactly.
so similar, and I'm so glad that they're going back to a Clark Kent that's like that, because that's how he is. He's kind of bumbling,
Yeah,
just kind of
like
nervous
a
acting.
goofball.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And when I saw him walking through that crowd as Clark Kent, it took me back, and I was like, "Wow, okay, all right, I'm a little more on board now with this."
hmm
Yeah, so that is great. I still don't know about his haircut as Clark Kent, though. I know I mentioned that in a previous episode, but um, I just, yeah, and yeah, the more brightly colored suit with the trunks on the outside. And don't even get me
I noticed
started.
it changes.
Do what?
So in one part of the trailer, he had the truck with the suits, and other parts of the trailer, he doesn't. So at some point, he changes uniform
I didn't even notice that.
from like a
But
homemade to
mm-hmm.
a non-homemade one.
Hmm, that's pretty cool. But I'm glad they ended up with the trunks on the outside. I did kind of like it in the comics when they went away from it, but at the same time, it's like, that's also Superman. Just like I mentioned, the music, that
Hmm.
theme song is Superman. Having the trunks on the outside, the red trunks, is definitely Superman. So yeah, I'm glad they went with that. It was actually James Gunn has come out and said it was actually David Cornsweat's idea to do that. That they weren't going to do it, and then Cornsweat wanted to, so he really pushed
Hmm.
for it, and they did it because of him. So I like that he wants to actually pay homage to the character.
Exactly.
But yeah, don't even get me started on crypto. There are people hating on crypto and not and thinking it's dumb that crypto's in the movie. But he's very much part of the
Some of the
Superman
movie.
lore, and he's very
It's
much. Sorry, go ahead.
like the dog they chose because the reason they chose that type of dog was because that resembles James Gunn's dog.
Gotcha. See,
That's why they went with that breed. Because I always thought Crypto was more of like a Labrador Retriever myself, but
yeah, and that's been one of the big topics of debate as well is the breed of dog, and I mean, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. That's just very
Mhm.
minuscule, minor detail. I think that, if you're going to
Yeah.
hate on it, then you're going to pick out every little thing you can to hate on. And that's one of the things that people have picked out to ridicule,
Hmm.
So, but yeah, one of the things I think is funny is I don't know why there can't just be a trailer. Why there can't just be a movie. I guess, it is the way of the internet to attack attack things and, well, everything really. But people people are using this trailer to attack Snyder and his Superman, Henry
Hmm.
Cavill Superman. People are using Henry Cavill Superman and Snyder to attack this trailer and James Gunn Superman. And I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I didn't like how they handled Henry Cavill. I didn't like that they didn't bring him back. I did like the Snyder films. I am a fan of Zack Snyder, but I can recognize that he had a very different vision for Superman, and it was different than it was actually, to me it was more closer to the new 52 Superman than the actual classic Superman. And they have since, in Rebirth in the comics, gone back to the more classic version of Superman. And I think that's what they're going for here. And I know New 52 was popular when Zack Snyder made his movies, so I think he took a lot of influence from that. So but Henry Cavill to me was the perfect casting for Superman. I think it was something he was born to play. I'm glad he actually got to play it. I would have liked to see his story complete and finished. But at the same time, I know that the DCU failed, and they had to go in a different direction. And they gave it to James Gunn, who makes good superhero movies. Say what you want about him. There's things he does that I like. There's things he does that I don't like. Things he does and says on the internet that I don't like, that I don't disagree, that I don't agree with. But at the same time, and I've told you this before, I don't know if I've actually mentioned it on this channel before or on this podcast before. I just want the DCU to be good. I don't care who does it. I just want it to be a good, cohesive universe with good characters and good stories and a good, like, interconnecting of the world as a whole.
And
And
it seems like they're doing a lot in this movie. It's going to be very informal on to what the TCU is going to be. They have a lot of characters being shown in it. Uh,
right.
it
And
just seems like there's a lot to it.
right. And yeah, it's very much uh alludes to the bigger whole, the larger universe as a whole. But at the same time, James Gunn said that this is not a movie that's going to build a universe. It's not. It's very much a standalone Superman movie, but there are a few things in it. I mean, obviously they showed them in the trailer, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawk Girl, that point to it being connected to something larger. But at the and I saw where he said this. He said that at the heart of the movie, it's a Superman story with Superman, Lois, and Lex Luthor. And when he
A bit
said
of
that,
Morpho too in the
right,
trailer.
exactly, exactly. So I like that it's not an origin story. I like that we don't have to go through yet
Hmm.
another origin story. I like that it's set where obviously him and Lois are in a relationship, judging by the few times
Hmm.
we saw them together. And the larger scale of the universe because we see some very alien looking things in this trailer
Hmm.
and like intergalactic threats. And I think that's where Green Lantern shows up, Guy Gardner. I think that's where some of the other ones show up, Mr. Terrific and Hawk Girl. And you know, it opens the door for Brainiac later on because he's very much an intergalactic villain. So the stakes are high, I think. But as far as you know, the movie as a whole, he has said it's a standalone movie, but it's also to kick off the new universe. So, which is what they should do. And we had discussed this too. I was a little worried about all the inclusion of all the other characters and if it was going to water down the movie and how the plot was going to go with all these different characters. And we even speculated that they might just be making cameos just to set up something larger. And that's what it looks like they're going to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Just, it just seems a little crazy. It seems like there's a lot of hints in there where this could be going, where it could have went.
Right. And I know it's just a teaser trailer, but there's been a lot of speculation about it. And you know, I already talked about, you know, people hating on it, but man, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I've seen people, and this makes me laugh just as much as like people hating on it for no reason. Um, like hating on, they said it looks very CW. I didn't really get that impression, but I don't know. People want to hate for no reason, but on the opposite end of that spectrum, I think people are so desperate for something good, comic book
Hmm.
wise, in these last few years because the MCU's gone downhill and the DCEU obviously crashed and burned before it could even, you know, get off the ground really. And I don't blame Zack Snyder for that. I blame Walter Hamada and Warner Brothers way more than Zack Snyder because they stepped in and they started interfering very early on in the DCEU, and that's all I'll say about that old universe because I really want to talk about this new Superman and the new coming universe. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, people are saying it's the best version of Superman we've ever gotten, and they're saying I saw one post where because the trailer had gotten 6 million views in 24 hours that the and this is exactly what the post said, this film is already a hit, not the trailer, the film, meaning the movie, is already a hit. And I'm sitting back and I'm just kind of laughing like I do at the hate on this movie. It's like it's the glazing, as they say, is a little ridiculous too because I mean, it's just one trailer. It's a teaser trailer. We got a long way to go. We don't know the plot of the movie. We don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be good. James Gunn makes good superhero movies. He made the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and they're some of, if not the best movies in the MCU. A lot of people consider them the best movies, but I like I think the Captain America movies top them, not by much, but they're definitely up there. So, and I
I
don't
just
know.
thought it was kind of crazy that in the trailer they showed, you know, what they showed. They showed Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, and Lord Tech outfits. They showed, um, what was the other one? They also showed Stag Industries, like two other villains in
Right.
the DC, all in the same movie with people that are associated with them villains in the trailer.
Right. So yeah, we don't know how everything's going to play out. This just showed brief
No,
flashes and glimpses. We know Superman gets his butt kicked because you know in that very opening scene he lands and he's all bloody and
yeah,
he calls Crypto to
towards the end,
yeah
that's you don't know. That could be towards the end of the movie, and I mean, or it could be the very beginning. Curious to
right
see how it's going to play out.
exactly. And there's so much we don't know, but for I get it. I get it. People are excited. They're getting
And
hyped
then
up
Guy
about it.
Gardner's haircut, man. I feel
Man,
like he did it just to fuck with him.
that was his haircut back in the
I know, but I'm
80s.
saying like
It doesn't
you
make
would
it right
expect him
though.
to have had. No,
It doesn't make it
you would have
right.
thought he would have had the high top, but I just think it's hilarious because now Nathan
Yeah.
Fillion has to wear a bowl cut the whole time.
Oh, I know, right? And that's a topic of highly debated topic. People are saying something about his haircut, and then people are getting all upset and attacking him, being like, "That was his haircut in the '80s." I'm like, okay, but still, it looks like absolute crap. I don't care where it came from. I don't care if it is comic accurate.
Exactly.
It looks like crap, and they very much should have gone with the buzz cut or the flat top or
Hmm.
anything else. Anything else. Um, I'll probably catch some flack for that, but nah, bowl cut. Come on, no. It looked terrible in the comics. It looks terrible on screen. I don't like it. Uh, and
I
that's
feel like he just did it because he's like, you know what? Since you're playing a part, guess what? You're gonna have a bowl cut. We're gonna
right,
take you back in the
exactly.
bowl cut.
And I get he's trying to be comic accurate, but at the same time, he is
Hmm.
quirky, zany, James Gunn, and he does have that humor. So maybe, and it is Nathan Fillion, so maybe they did do it on purpose for him. Maybe Nathan Fillion wanted that bowl cut. You never
Hmm.
know. But yeah, I don't like that. It's one of the only things about the trailer I didn't like actually, and the other thing is just a very minor, minuscule thing, and it's only my personal preference is the S on the suit. They're using the Kingdom Come S. It's not my favorite.
Yeah.
I've never been fond of the Kingdom Come S, but that's just my personal preference, and it's just a small thing. And I'm not going to be like, well, I'm not watching this movie now because of that. But yeah, as a whole, I think Corn Sweat very much has the Superman look. He very much has the Clark Kent look. I don't know, some of the scenes his hair is just looks like they just combed it all forward and gave him a perm in the front, but there's a couple of scenes where it does look better. Uh, there's the scene where he's talking to his father. I'm glad Jonathan Kent's still alive. I know there's versions of Superman where he dies
Think
early
that
on.
he's a lot of people seem to think it's just a flashback.
It very well could
So
be.
I'm kind of curious to see where it could be. Yeah.
And honestly, and I was going to mention this, excuse me, the way they interacted in that scene, Clark and his father, the way they interacted, it didn't look like a very happy conversation. It almost made me think that maybe uh, Jonathan was terminally ill and he was telling Clark because Clark kind of it. They both looked kind of downtrodden, and then Clark hugs him, almost like telling him like how much he loves him, and uh, kind of like a almost like a goodbye. That's kind of how it looked to me, at least. Um, but I mean, yeah, I guess we'll see if that's a current scene in the movie or if it's just a flashback. But it didn't look like a very happy conversation.
Yeah. It's just so hard to tell with such a short video. Um, like I said, I feel like it's, if anything, it could be a flashback. It seems like they're having flashbacks in this trailer.
Which is fine with
You know what I
me.
mean?
Yeah,
No,
that's
it's completely fine.
yeah. It very well could be. And like you just said, I want to touch on something you just said. Very short uh glimpses of this movie in this trailer. So it's not enough to be like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible and I hate it already." And on the other hand, it's not enough to be like, "This is going to be the greatest Superman movie ever." So
Yeah.
uh I
I
get that people
like that
are
they leave you a lot. Hopefully, they don't put out a whole bunch more trailers that just give away the movie. You
exactly.
know?
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. I
Yeah.
want I want to actually go into this movie not knowing what's going to happen or not having seen every single action sequence in the trailers
Yes.
like they do
Yeah. That
so
you're
many
like, oh,
times.
I saw that coming. Oh, I saw that coming.
Right. There's been so many movies I've watched after seeing the trailers that they they've literally in some trailers put every single action sequence in the movie that's in that's in the trailers. It's every single action
Hmm.
sequence that's in the movie. And it's like, why did they do that? They ruined the movie for me. I feel like I've already seen it because I've watched all the trailers. So now it's gotten to the point where I don't even want to watch trailers anymore. But I did want to see this one because I do and still have the wait and see approach for the DCU. But I got to be honest, man. As a Superman fan and as a fan of DC, this trailer got me a little excited about it, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing this now.
Yes. I just think it's great. Like I said, the Fortress of Solitude, it's kind of going back to the roots of what, like I said, the Christopher Reeve Superman, where they were always really well done.
Exactly,
They weren't
and
so futuristic seeming.
right, and especially with Zack Snyder's different take on Superman, I think we needed to go back to his roots. We needed to go back to a more brightly colored, more optimistic. I'm not saying that Henry Cavill Superman wasn't optimistic, um, but at the same time, I had a conversation with somebody one time, and they told me that not everybody can write and direct Superman. It takes the right person who actually gets the character. And I do like Zack Snyder. I like his movies. I know it's very popular these days to hate Zack Snyder and every single thing he does, but he definitely has a different style and a different take, and he definitely had a different take on Superman, and it's not what people were used to. At the same time, his Superman movies weren't terrible. I know people will say that. I know I'll probably get some comments on this video that will say that, but I loved Man of Steel. I loved the Justice League Snyder cut, not the theatrical version of Batman vs Superman, but the extended director's cut of Batman vs Superman. I thought was a good movie. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I thought it was good. And they had two good actors to play Batman and Superman. And honestly, Warner Brothers as a whole fumbled both Ben Affleck and his Batman and Henry Cavill and his Superman. Hardcore, big time. So I think James Gunn is onto something here, going back to Superman's roots, including the fortress, including crypto, including, we saw Kelex in the trailer, even though that wasn't a happy scene either. Kelex was broken, and Cavill was holding, or not Cavill, Corn Sweat was holding him like he was dying. But I don't know. We get Jonathan Kent in the trailer. We got Superman and Lois together, and yeah, so I think it was a smart move for him to go back to the roots.
Just was nice to see the trailer finally and see the costumes, how they look in character, moving. I mean, like you and I were talking about earlier, just the way he walks as Clark Kent takes you back.
It really does. It almost reminds me of my cousin. He's a few years older than I am, and he saw Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy, in the theaters as a kid. And then, they did all the other Star Wars movies, and then finally Rogue One came out. And he told me after he saw Rogue One, he was like, it was like I was in the theaters as a kid watching the original Star Wars. And that's how it
Yeah,
felt. And seeing him walk as Clark Kent through that crowd made me feel like a kid watching the Christopher Reeve Supermans again.
exactly.
And I think that's one of the things that's gotten me the most excited about it, is because it's almost like when you play Batman, you also have to play Bruce Wayne well. When you play Superman, you gotta play Clark Kent well. And to convince people that he's not Superman, he's got to be that clumsy,
Yeah,
kind of a buffoon type character,
exactly.
And
Like can't even tie his shoes without messing up.
yeah,
He
exactly. Or tying
losing his
them,
balance. You know what I mean? Like,
tying them together and falling over.
yeah,
But I will say, just like we've mentioned before, at the same time, it's very small glimpses of Clark Kent. But I don't know, man. Just the way he was walking through that crowd, and just his mannerisms as he was doing that, just really
well, and the fact that
took
he's
me
so
back.
freaking tall. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Superman was always towering over everybody. He was tall,
Yes.
you know. And when he's walking through that crowd, it's like got a head height on everybody.
Right. And another thing, I know I mentioned the hair and how it looks like it was all combed forward and looks like a perm in the front, but you definitely can't tell that Clark and Superman are the same person, because Superman does kind of have his hair like slicked back, combed over to the side, slicked down, and
Hmm.
I noticed the curl. The curl was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so they definitely look a lot different. That's the thing about Superman, really, in the comics or any other iterations of it, is that Clark Kent and Superman look like the same person. Just Superman's got the curl and Clark's got the glasses. It's like, and
Yeah.
that's the main thing, is like, really, a pair of glasses is going to make you think that he's not Superman. But
Hmm.
the way they had his hair looking, and the way that it does actually look like two different people for once. So I like
Yes.
that about that
Exactly.
too.
Yep. I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. They did say in one of the descriptions of it that it was going to be that it wasn't going to have as much of the humor as Guardians of the Galaxy did, and that kind of eased some of my concerns, because Superman with a Guardians of the Galaxy type atmosphere and feel to it would not work at all. And I was a little worried
No.
about that after, especially after seeing James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie,
Yeah.
with the outlandish humor and just the over the top, and Peacemaker too. Really, Peacemaker really went wild with that sense of humor. They marketed the Suicide Squad movie as they unleashed the I forget the exact word they used, but they unleashed the mind of James Gunn. And when they, after seeing that and seeing, like, okay, this works for Suicide Squad. This is a little over the top at times, but when they gave him the DCU, I was a little concerned, um because of that mainly. And then hearing that he was going to do a Superman movie, and after watching the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, I mean, they do have a lot of silly humor in those movies, but they can get serious when they need to. And really, if he can make people tear up and cry over a raccoon, imagine what he's going to do with Superman and with this universe.
Yes, it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait. I'm excited to see
Yeah,
what he's going to do.
right. But some of my I don't want to say skepticism, but some of my hesitance is still there. It's only one trailer. It shows very small glimpses of the movie. We don't really get a sense of the plot. Um, but at the same time, I like the feel of it, and going forward, I'm a little more open to it now than I was before, and I am kind of looking forward to it now. But I'm still trying to temper my excitement a little bit. um, at the same time, I mean, I'm not hating on it by any means, but I'm not gonna like go out and say it's the best version of Superman we've ever seen after one teaser trailer.
Correct. I could never do that. I'm too much of a Henry Cavill fan.
Yeah, I liked him too, and I didn't like how they had him come back at the end of Black Adam and announce. They announced he was back as Superman, and they had him do that end of credit scene at the end of Black Adam just to pull the rug out from under him again, and I didn't like that. But at the same time, and I think one reason why people are so upset is because he wanted to recast Batman and Superman and make them younger, but he did. There was speculation that they would have some of the actors from the DCEU come over, like Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Ezra Miller as the Flash, and they did bring Peacemaker into this new universe. And he says in the next season that they'll address how they do that. And
Okay.
I think a lot of people were. It made people even more mad that they didn't bring Cavill back. It's like, well, how are you going to keep some of the actors but not all of them?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I get that the DCEU wasn't working You can still like those movies. You can still love those movies. You can still love those characters. And I do. But at the same time, they messed it up way too bad and it needed to be started over. But I'm of the mind that if you're going to reboot it, reboot everything, recast everybody.
Yes.
Don't bring
Start
anything.
fresh.
Exactly. So I think that's one of the main things why people were so mad. And like I mentioned before, we didn't get to see Henry Cavill's Superman story finished. Unfortunately, we're never going to get that now. But at the same time, it's time to move forward. That wasn't working. It was obvious. The fan base was way too divided. I mean, they're still divided now. I think they're always going to be divided because of what happened with the DCEU. So thanks, Warner Brothers, for that. Thank you, Walter Hamada, for that. But I'm like, yeah, if you're going to move forward and you're going to reboot it and restart it, recast everybody, wipe the slate clean, and start with all new actors for every single character.
That's exactly what they should do. Start fresh and not bring anyone over because it's not the same.
Right. And then when you do bring people over, all it does is remind people of the DCEU. It reminds them of that unfinished story and everything that goes along with it. And then even in the season finale of Peacemaker, you had the Justice League from the DCEU and you had Henry Cavill. I know it wasn't Henry Cavill, but it was his suit and it was his outline. It was his
Yeah.
yeah.
When he told him you're all too late.
Yeah. And Gal Gadot wasn't there either, but it was very much that character from those movies. So I get why people are upset about that, and but at the end of the day, I think I can finally kind of accept the fact. Well, not finally, kind of, but definitely can accept the fact that the DCEU was a failed state, and they needed to start it over. And
I'm just curious as to what part of time this Superman takes place because Rick Flag Sr.'s in it, which
right.
he's not in Suicide Squad 1 or 2 because his son was in it.
Right.
So,
well,
that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm saying. Like when you said bringing people over, it's like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, and they haven't said that they're going to bring over everybody from, like, we don't know if Suicide Squad is getting left behind or if they're bringing that over, if that's going to be canon. We do know Peacemaker is, but I know that he addressed kind of the fact that they're going to be bringing Peacemaker over from a different universe is what it made it sound like to this new one.
That'll make sense then into why it's different.
But I don't know.
There we go with the multiverse shit again.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I thought we were getting away from that. But
I wouldn't mind seeing Idris Elba's character again. But
yes, his character was awesome, but
not Harley Quinn because she was very much DCEU. Margot Robbie's very much DCEU, and
yeah.
But I know we've gotten a little off topic here. We were talking Superman, but seeing this trailer and this being the start of the new universe, it does bring up a lot of these questions, and I don't know.
That's why I'm just interested to see where it's going to go.
Exactly. And, as time goes forward and we see more trailers and more things start to come out, and I think James Gunn is starting to open up a little bit because he has said that about the Peacemaker thing, and well, we'll see. Seeing this Superman trailer has given me a little bit of hope for the DCU. It's kind of settled and eased some of my concerns about it. And, speaking of Henry Cavill being the perfect cast for Superman, I think David Corenswet very much has the Superman look.
Did a really good job bulking up.
Yes, absolutely. I do want to see a bulked up Superman because that's how he is in the comics. And anyway, I mean, that's all I had for this one, man. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just until next time. I'm excited to see where we're going to go.
Yep, same here. I appreciate you stopping by, man. We'll get you on another episode soon.
Thanks. It was good talking with you.
Oh yeah, always is. But yeah, I'm sure something will come around that I can get you back on here and we can discuss. But yeah, this trailer was I don't want to say it was great because it was just a teaser, just showed brief glimpses, but at the same time, it gave me a little bit of hope for this new universe, and I don't know. I guess that's all I was kind of looking for. Like I said earlier, at the end of the day, I'm a fan of Superman. I'm a fan of DC, and I just want it to be good. I don't care who does it. I just want the cinematic universe to be good. But let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think of the trailer? Do you think David Cornswell is going to be a good Superman? Do you think James Gunn's going to do well with this movie and with the new universe? Do you have any concerns? Are you excited? Let us know below, and I'll catch you next time.